Welcome back to another tutorial number 8 in a 10 episode series to help all you new players try to get a good footing in OOTP Perfect Team. I want to thank those of you that are leaving comments and sending me messages, letting me know that you find this series valuable. Some of you have mentioned that you've purchased the game just because of the Gladiator series. So yeah, not that I get any kind of kickback from OOTP, but it's such a joy to find out that people are actually enjoying as I make these episodes. So thank you so much. If you haven't left a comment and you have similar thoughts, please do. I always like to hear from the watchers about things that they do enjoy in any of the series that I cover. All right, last episode in tutorial number 7, we covered basic sliders, the team sliders, and how you should kind of accommodate for the roster that you have. In this episode, I want to focus more on the player individual sliders. This is more of a finesse approach, kind of an intricate way of fine-tuning your team to perform based on their capabilities. So we're going to start first with the pitchers, and then we'll work our way to the hitters. These were, again, the team sliders that I focused on last episode. If you're finding that you're ranking lower in the base running category, for instance, I need to make some adjustments because right now the team that we're using, the Gym Unknown Blue Jays, although they're doing really well, we're first in our division, we're a 707 winning average. That's really good. It kind of gives you the indication that maybe you don't want to mess with your sliders too much. But because we are last in the league, we're 15th in our conference in base running. We're 15th in stolen bases. That's due to having such a low set of sliders for stealing, base running, and hit and run. So what I would recommend, now here's a catch situation. We're first in the division. We're doing really well in the league. If I look at the overall league standings, we're first. Do I want to mess with that? Or do I want to try and steal a few more bases? Because right now, we've got 2 guys stealing bases. Donnie Bush and Richie Ashburn. That's it. Because of our sliders. I could bump these up, but then that might affect other parts of the game. And we might start losing more. So that's up to you. If you find yourself low in the standings and have a bad running, stealing overall, then definitely you want to play around with the sliders. And what I would recommend is, if you want to increase your base running, move these up 1 or 2 notches each. No more than that. And see how it goes from there. Because I'm first in the league, I don't want to mess with it. Okay, I do want to steal more bases, but I'm afraid it might impact other areas of the game. All right, let's look at the individual player ratings. So I'm going to start with the pitchers. I'm going to go through each one by one. I'll show you maybe a couple of them, and then we'll move on to the batters, because otherwise this would be an hour episode. You always want to keep everything adjusting to team strategy. So that way it's going to kind of take a mixture of your team settings and your individual settings. If you have an outlier player that is really, really strong in one area of the game, then maybe you want to override it and just stick to those settings. But I like to keep it on the team settings. All right, so we got Kevin Brown. Kevin Brown has a 65 control, 88 movement, and a 67, or stuff 65, 88 movement, 67 control. He's a starter. How is he doing this year? He is currently, where's his win-loss? He's 8 wins, 0 losses. after coming off a 20-4 and a 25-4 record. He's got a stamina of 103, so he's got a lot of endurance. So I want a slow pull from him. He's my best pitcher, one of my best pitchers. He's not a reliever. I don't have to worry with that, so I'm going to knock that down. Pitch around. Guys with good control, you want to boost this up. Guys with low control, notch it down. Anyone that's kind of in the green, I like to leave it at neutral. So Kevin Brown is in the green. I'm going to leave it right there. Next, intentional walk. For all my pitchers, I don't like to walk guys. Not in the lower leagues. So I'm going to boost that down, move it down until I'm 3 away from the back. 1, 2, 3. Hold runner. Again, you have to look at each individual player. He's got a 62 hold runner, so it's a little stronger than half. So I'm going to boost that up just 1. Play infield in and all these other settings. Again, you kind of want to look at their control. If they have good control and they can pinpoint their pitches, you kind of want to move this up a little bit. Poor control, you don't want to play your infield in. Because again, he's kind of decent with control, but not the best. I'm going to leave it neutral. I always like to guard the lines quite a bit. And I like to heavy duty shift the infield and outfield on all my pitchers. So again, if you want to boost it down a little bit, that's fine. And the shifting outfield depth, I kind of keep it around neutral, maybe 1 above neutral. My pitch count, for anyone that has a stamina over 90, I usually give them a 100 pitch count. Under 90, I'll start knocking it down to a 95 or a 90. But basically, if they have decent stamina, they can pitch at least 90. Next, forced roll, I don't play around with. Bench when fatigue, I don't play around with. And because he currently is a follower on my team, because I have a lefty cheese ballpark, as I mentioned in the other episodes, you have to kind of make sure you use the follower check mark. Over here, he's not a hitter. You don't have to play around with these. If you want to lock your settings in, some people like to do that. And I don't put the aggressive tiredness hook on. I don't play around with that. Not quite sure how effective that is, so I leave it. And there's Kevin Brown. All right, let's do one more pitcher. Let's go and pick someone that's a little bit different. Someone with a lot of stuff. Clayton Kershaw. So with Clayton Kershaw, you want him to strike out batters. So you don't care about the pitch around. You don't want him to be a finesse pitcher. Just throw the heat, Clayton. So you can tone down the pitch around. Again, I don't like to walk batters. It's not a reliever. And starter, what's his stamina like? He is a 95, and he's got a 2-2 record this year, but he's performed well in the past. So I want to keep him in a little bit longer, but not as much as Kevin Brown. Hold runner, where are we at there? He's got a 65, so it's kind of neutral, maybe boost up 1 spot. And again, look at his control, it's a 71. Infield, yeah, they can stay neutral. Guard lines, boost up a little, and I boost all these up to maximum. And the outfield depth, I use 1. His stamina, because it is over 90, I use as 100 pitch count. I don't go any more than 100. I don't want to wear my guys down. And again, he's not a follower. He's not an opener, so I can leave all that. Every once in a while, make sure you hit submit, because if you forget and the clock runs out and they sim another game, you may lose all your progress. I've had that happen a couple times. All right, same thing goes with your relievers. If you want to set your relievers, very similar. So let's pick one here. Let's pick Dylan Tate. It's not a starter. I'm going to tone down that a little bit. Let's look at his record so far. He's 2-1, 4.05 ERA. He's doing okay, but he's not a stud. So I'm just going to tone that down a little bit. Pitch around. Well, what's his control? His control is 70, so it can stay at neutral. Don't like walking guys. I just don't like doing that with any pitcher. Hold runner. Where are we at? He's at a 53. So again, just under halfway mark. Play infield in. Tone that down. Guard lines, I like to boost a little bit. All the way to the right for these ones. And depth there as well. So again, Dylan Tate has really good movement. Doesn't really affect any of these. I'm looking at stuff and I'm looking at control in terms of pitching around. So yeah, neutral's pretty good for him. Don't have to use any of these other than a pitch count. We need to kind of figure out what his pitch count should be. So Dylan Tate, he's got a 19 stamina. Anyone with a stamina under about 15, I like to leave about 30. If they have between 15 and 30, then I can go up to about a 35 pitch count. And that's where he would be. In fact, I'm going to go a little bit less. All right, so there is a reliever. Let's submit that before the game sims. And that's how you can go about working with the individual sliders for your pitchers. And if you have any questions, leave a comment in the section underneath the video and I can address them in a future video. All right, let's go on to our batters. So I'm going to drag over the first batter, Ted Simmons. Similar kind of approach. Notice that the outlook is a little bit different because they don't pitch. So you're focusing on all the hitter characteristics. I always leave it on adjust to team strategies. First one, stealing bases. So these you kind of have to open up each one by one to kind of look at this section here. You're focusing a lot on this section. Speed, stealing, base running, bunt, and bunt for hit. That makes up a lot of your sliders. So he's in the red for all of them. So I don't want him stealing bases. Base running, I always move up a little bit. I never leave at the very end. For my bad runners, I always put it kind of at the 3 mark. So I go to the end and go 1, 2, 3. Oops, 2. Yeah, I want the orange. Hit and run, you can kind of look at the contact for the player. He's got contact of about 70. But for hit and run, because I kind of attribute hit and run and I combine it with running, because if you're hitting, you also have guys running. And so I don't use hit and run often. I usually keep it 1 or 2 from the left-hand side. Sacrifice bunt, well, we saw Ted Simmons. Deep red for both of those. I don't want him bunting, and I don't want him bunting for a hit. So he's pretty straightforward. My hitters, I always keep at anywhere between 94 and 97. Because this is league play, I don't mind if there's substitutions and rotations. So 97 in league play is what I like to have for my hitters. These I don't play around with. Available for a pinch hitter? Yeah. If I'm losing a game or in a game where I need a better hitter, I don't mind him being lifted in the 7th inning. And I usually keep these fairly high for all my players. Pinch hit? Frequently. Platoon usage? Frequently. If I'm losing a game, I don't mind a better hitter coming into the game. Now, you're probably not going to use this for your really stud players, but for most players, you want to keep these in the light blue or even in the dark blue. Next, we'll go by someone that's a little bit different. Let's go with Willie McCovey, very similar to Ted Simmons. Look at all that deep red. I'm not trusting him on the base paths. I don't want him bunting, and I don't want him to hit and run. Here, he's a good hitter, one of my best hitters, so I don't want to lift him out of the game unless it's the 9th inning. Let's go on to someone that's different. I got a lot of slow guys. Let's try and find someone that's a little faster. Donnie Bush. Remember, he leads the team in stealing. Okay, he's above 50 in all of these. Good sack bunt, good bunt for hit. Lot of blue there. So, stealing bases, I could boost this up a little bit, but again, he's not the best base stealer. If this was blue, I would boost him up. So I could go maybe to neutral, but I'm going to go a couple below that. Base running, again, I always have a little higher than the stealing, so that's fine. Hit and run, I always keep low for all my guys. Sack bunt, he's good. I can even boost that up a little more. And bunt for hit, he's good. 97%. He can come out in the 8th inning because he's a fairly good player. Don't want to remove him if I don't have to, but if I'm losing, I don't mind. And again, I like to boost these up to at least the first blue category. Again, submit so you don't forget. If you find that someone is in a slump. So when you go to your hitter page, look at, I've got all these guys that are on hot streaks. If they're on a cold streak, there'll be a little blue logo here. And what I find works to get them out of the slump is if you bench them for a day or two. So just go to your settings. You can also go to an individual player, open it up, go to actions, game strategy, same thing shows up. And bench them for a game or two. That tends to work 90% of the time for me. All right, so back to the settings. Let's do one more. Let's go to my perfect Larry Walker. All right, so Larry Walker, kind of all over the place. He can steal. He has some speed. Base running's better than average. Decent bunter, decent bunt for hit. So here's a guy where, again, I don't mind boosting those up a little bit. Don't want him to hit and run. This is about the highest I ever go for any player. Sack bunt, he's good. Let's see, where was he for sack bunt? Larry Walker. Where are ya? 46. Maybe that might be a little too high. And bunt for hit, I think he was pretty good. 59, so yeah, I'm going to boost that one up a bit. 97, he's one of my better players. I don't want to lift him out of the game, so he goes to the 9th inning, and then my first blue for each of these. There are some pointers for setting your strategies to help you win a few more games, especially in the lower leagues. Once you get up to diamond or gold even, then you can play around and adjust the strategies even a little bit more. Maybe you want to go override team strategies once you get up to the real high levels. But everything up to at least gold, yeah, this tends to work for me. I mean, look at my record. Based on my sliders, I'm doing really well. Look, we lead the league in many of the batting categories. Pitching, we got a couple on there as well. Guys, leave questions, leave comments. Hopefully, you're finding these tutorials helpful. Look at our pitchers here. 8-0 for Kevin Brown, 7-1 for Rich Harden, 3-0 for Live Max. And again, using a couple openers. That is going to do it for this episode, but as I always do, even in my regular series, I like to open a few packs. Let's go for 8 packs today. See if we can pull someone that's helpful to the team. And if you have any suggestions on what you want me to cover in the next tutorial? Leave a comment. What would you like to see me go in a little bit more depth in terms of this game? I think I've covered most of it, but maybe there's something that I'm missing. All right, let's go 3 more packs. Got a couple platinum cards. Yay, we got our first gold pulled. Probably not going to be too helpful. And one more. All right, that's going to do it for this tutorial. Enjoy OOTP. Enjoy playing around a little bit with the sliders. And we'll see you next episode. Thanks for watching.